The police were always at our home. They just always seemed to be knocking at our door. There was a lot of physical abuse in our house. The things that stand out for me most are the times when my father would punch my mother. The worst beating I recall, I remember hearing my mother screaming. We came downstairs and my father had my mother pinned on the couch. He was stabbing her in the top of her head with this ruler. She just screamed and he wouldn't let her off the couch. He just kept stabbing her in the head. There was always some blood on our floors. One evening when my father broke into our home and had my mother, me, and my younger brother and older sister at gunpoint, I remember him having us lined up on a bed. He sat by the door with a gun inside of a bag. Every time we said something he didn't like, he would go to the bag and draw the gun out. I remember very specifically him looking at me and saying, "Butch, you know your mother's a whore, right?" I didn't even know what a whore was back then. I was always afraid to leave my mother alone. I always felt in my heart that one day my father was going to kill my mother.
Ulysses, what do you want to say?
At this point, DrPhil, I'm really speechless. I'm really speechless because apparently a lot of things have been left out as far as what he's saying. It appears to me as though if my son is visualizing me as being the bad guy all that time, it seems like this is a situation that really can't be solved.
Well, in fairness to your son, the facts are that you did shoot his mother in the head twice and kill her, correct?
That is correct.
So, I mean, given that you did shoot her in the head twice and kill her, I think you would understand that he would have some very strong feelings about that.
Of course.
And isn't it also true that there was domestic violence in the marriage?
Yes, that is true.
And
That's true on both parts.
And didn't you threaten her with a gun years earlier in 1971?
Yes, I did.
At this point, sir, I believe you're 75 years of age, true?
In about 2 months.
I don't know how much time you or me or any of us, certainly Butch, is going to have in this world, and this may be the last time the two of you ever speak. I hope that's not the case. I pray that's not the case. If there's something that he needs to hear from you, wouldn't you like to know what that is?
I sure would, DrPhil. As a matter of fact, I'll go one better than that. If my son wants me to hear me say, "I shot your mother twice," I'll say it because I did. Yes, I took her life. I destroyed my life. I destroyed her life. I destroyed my son's life. I did. I'm guilty of all that. I take complete responsibility for everything. I have carried this with me all my life. But at the same time, DrPhil, I feel that I have been forgiven by a higher being, and we all stand in judgment. I mean, what more can I say?
You say you take accountability for this, but you say this was an accident. And Butch, you say you heard him say he was going to kill her, and I don't get shooting somebody in the head twice as an accident. You need him to own this. That's the problem, is he's not owning this, right?
That is absolutely the problem, DrPhil. The 12-year-old boy that I was still lives inside of me. And that 12-year-old boy still goes back to that same place where his mother was every day. And it's that place where I heard my father say, "If you try to leave, I'll kill you." I've gone through court documents, DrPhil, and I see where my father said that he never said that. DrPhil, the day that my mother was killed, I lifted my mother's head and I put a pillow underneath my mother's head. My father told the court that he put that pillow under my mother's head. My father said that he never said that he would kill my mother. I hope you're hearing me well. After my father shot my mother, he came into the room and looked at both my brother and I, and he said, "Butch, Keith, I'm sorry. I had to do it. She was going to leave me."
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.